Order this June 1st, 2016. If everybody could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. First item up is the approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of meeting minutes from May 4th and May 19th. Is there any questions or comments?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the bills to be paid. Is there any questions or comments on any of the bills to be paid?
I make a motion to pay bills except check number 17577. I believe there could be a conflict of interest, and I want to stay clear of that one myself, so I'm in favor of the bills except that one.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Mayor, if you would like to act on that, that's up to you folks, but I'm not in favor of that one.
One sec, just going back to find the bill.
It's on page 1.
Okay.
Right there.
That one?
Yes.
Pat, I believe that one is, that's the same amount of money that was being paid to Schmidt's Excavating when the city used to bring the compost out there, all the trees.
That may be so. The thing is, it should be either bid out or be notified. That's what I'm after, and especially if it goes back to 2015 and 16. Should have been done in the past year. We're paying backwards. So I just want to stay out of it, and that's my personal opinion only.
All right.
And that's why, Mr. Mayor, I said you guys can act on it if you want to.
Have we contracted that out in the past that you know of?
No.
Offhand?
No, for many years, I think for 4 years, they paid Schmidt's,
Okay,
and then, and I know in 2014 it was paid Schmidt's,
got it, okay, all right.
and that was the same amount.
I just don't remember ever that having to come
No,
out for a
never.
vote every single year that we
No.
had to change that.
Okay. All right.
It's up to you folks.
In 2015, it was an invoice that, it was a bill that didn't get paid, and it may have not gotten paid in the transition from administrator to not. I don't know why it
Right.
wasn't, but, and I wanted to indicate so that when Gordy looks at his budget, because compost falls under that budget, that
Falls
he
under
would know
his.
that 2015 was taken care of, as well as now 2016, so.
Okay.
I think that item should be on a workshop. Why we're even doing it in the first place.
Okay.
All right, we'll pull it out for the workshop for next workshop.
Okay. And I certainly will, have Tessa, sorry. Tessa certainly when you talked about a conflict of interest, but certainly Tessa can talk to Matt and,
Yeah, okay.
and get that information, Matt being city attorney.
Yep.
So that we can address that.
Just a clarification here. Would you like to be addressed Tessa or Tess?
Either way, doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda for this evening. Item A, Resolution 140-15, approval of May 2016 journal entries. Item B is Resolution 141-16, acceptance of May 2016 donations. Item C, Resolution 142-16, appointment of 2016 election judges. and setting a pay rate for 2000 election judge and head judge positions. I'm gonna pull item D out for our next item after we're done with the consent. Item E is resolution 144-16, authorizing amendment 2016 corporate resolution for the State Bank of Richmond. And item F, acknowledge People Services 2016 written report. Item D I'm gonna pull out so we can have a discussion on that.
Item D.
Item D.
D.
So, looking for consent agenda items for the other 5 items as read. Is there any questions or comments?
I make a motion to approve those. We'd like some discussion on the last paragraph of the River Lake Day one.
That's-
Just, not just a
We're actually,
discussion as much as a clarification.
Pat, that's the one I'm pulling out. The item
That
D
would
is
be?
D.
D is in dog.
Oh, excuse me, I misheard.
Sorry.
I misheard.
Okay, sorry. I just pulling D out and I wanna leave Tucker and Charlie talk about it a little bit.
I
Okay,
said B.
perfect.
Okay, sorry about that.
I'll make that motion, or I'll second that from Pat.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item D is resolution 146-16, authorization of use of city resources and personnel and road closures in conjunction with River Lake Days. Tucker Plattenberg and Charlie Reichard, the 2 chairmen, would you like to speak a little bit about River Lake Days?
Sure. Tucker Plattenberg, and I'm one of the chairs with Charlie Reichard of River Lake Days. We are progressing as planned this year. We have got a little more exciting, we feel, lineup for Friday night. We're taking the Richmond Fire Department or Firefighters Relief Association car show to Friday night, hoping it's going to be a bigger draw for both cars and people. We've got a little larger band, Diamondback, coming on Friday night also. And those things are just to try to enhance the sale of buttons, which is always kind of our goal. The button itself is what makes River Lake Days go. We like to sell as many as we can because that pays for the bands, the fireworks, entertainment that we have. So this year the theme is going to be The Beat Goes On, and it's going to center around Dickie Roush and the Cracker Jacks. Dick passed away this past spring, and it just kind of started to snowball, and everybody had a pretty strong feeling about what he's done for a lot of youth in our area throughout the course of his lifetime. And I think that Dick started, Pat help me out, maybe 74, 72, as far as teaching and drumming, and you know,
He graduated in 1971, I believe, and then he was out of state professionally for a year or two. So yeah, 74, 75 in that ball game.
okay, so you know, a lot of people have come out of the woodwork, and we just felt as though we wanted to follow that a little bit, and it kind of snowballed into, you know, being the center of River Lake Days. So the Friday night entertainment, the Cracker Jacks will be putting a tribute on to Dickie Roush and his talents. So you know, we're excited about that. Saturday we'll have a couple of different things. We've got inflatables coming this year. That's going to be sponsored by the Richmond Youth Group, and that's something that new for us, and you know, we're excited about it. Over the years, we've always been told, and we have to get more things for the kids and youth to make them, you know, so there's something there for them to hang out and, you know, have some fun. So we're step out of the box this year. They're providing a guaranteed situation for the first year to see how we do. They carry their own insurance, so that's not something that, you know, is a major concern. That was one of the quotas that, or the requirements that we had to have to make that go from our insurance agent. So that part is covered. Everything else is pretty much status quo. We've got contracts and everything pretty well all lined up for this year. think that's all I've got to say. Charlie has an idea about the layout of the grounds, and I can just let him talk to that. And
With the car show moving from Saturday to Friday, talking with the fire department and people are running it, they would like to put the cars on Central Avenue from First Street to Second, but they also initially wanted to close off our First Street from, is it Hall Avenue over to Ivy? And then we said that wasn't gonna work, so we talked to the school district about just closing from Central to Ivy and using also the driveway for the public school for parking cars Friday night.
Okay.
Just keeping it, but it'd be from the hours from about 4 PM until 9 PM. The car shows over at 9 PM. So it's just that short period of time closing that street so they could park all the cars they're expecting to have. Well over 60 cars, and they just weren't gonna fit on that Central Avenue that we usually have closed off from First down to Second.
You said Second Street from,
Well, you know, from, on Central Avenue, I believe it's First Street that goes to the north to Second Street.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what we usually closed off, that street. That wasn't gonna be enough. They were talking about going to First Street and going east and west, and wanting to close off 2 blocks that way, and I just didn't feel that was gonna work, so talking with a couple of the people in the car show, we decided it would be better just to close off that 1 block from Central Avenue over to Ivy, which is to the east, and then use the school.
but now you're talking Second Street.
Second
On the
Street,
north-
correct,
on the
on the
north
north side, Second Street, yes, just for those 5 hours on Friday night and close that one section, because I don't think closing to the south of that on First Street was gonna work at all. That was gonna make it very difficult for people to get to the grounds. And
The only concern I would have, that was, Second Street was always open for emergency exit.
Yeah.
Emergency
We're not gonna
vehicles,
close
east and
First
west.
Street though, but I know for parade reasons, Second Street was always kept open Saturday, but it wouldn't be closed at all on Saturday. That would be open back up again Friday night at 9 o'clock.
I did speak to the fire chief about that, and did he have any concerns with that 1 block on Second? And he did say that we'd need to notify Chain of Lakes, because that's an access for them, is to go down Second. But he didn't have a concern, because we can go up and around, as long as he's aware of it.
Right.
And that the fire department and the police department are aware of it, they didn't have a problem.
so
with
is that something we would need to make them aware, or is Steve gonna do that? Chandler.
Oh, I would say River Lake Days as well, Steve can follow up with it too, but yeah, River Lake Days committee needs to.
Okay.
Did you ever think of Main to First on Central?
I didn't, yeah, they talked about that too, and I didn't know how we could close, you know, that cuts off some of Jerry's access to his building on the east side and things. And I just didn't know if that was, I didn't think that would be a good, and it moves everything so far away from the grounds. The people, I was trying to keep it closer to the grounds so that the main body of people were close to the concession stands and things, and that seemed to be the closest,
Okay.
you know,
Makes a
keep
lot
the
of
people
sense.
close to the church grounds.
And we're trying to get it within the system, so they need to buy a button to come in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good idea.
You know, that's kind of the push behind,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, we have to do some more fencing just for that night, barricade the road, and try to fence that area off, so you have to have a button to get in.
Thing is, your alcohol that goes out that direction also would be fenced in that way. If people take an alcoholic beverage and want to go look at the cars, they'll be able to be fenced in, where the other way they'd be
You'll be going down, yeah.
walking out of your fenced in area.
With it, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
So, and I just, one other topic, I just did have a conversation with Chris Boucher about if he had any wants or concerns about what happens as normal, and he really did not. So we've touched base with him to we'll continue to keep him in the
Pat, did you have a question?
No, I think it was discussion of the council rather than a question for them.
Okay.
With that, I make a motion to approve the item D, as long as the road closure information is in here on Second Street.
Second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You guys have anything else you wanna add? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
You bet.
All right, moving on to department reports.
Mr. Mayor, can we stay with the River Lake days? I would just like to address the last bullet point on this contract. And the reason I would like to address this is because we addressed some of this, I believe, a couple months ago when it came to different fundraisers or different festivals or different blocking off of roads. According to this, you're making copies of all proof of insurance related to festival events and associated fireworks. You're making that mandatory for the River Lake days. I think because it's in here, then we're going to have to expand that to anything that goes on, anything we block the street off. They're going to have ample insurance. So if, you know, our question then is when do you or when don't you? Because we have this protocol started, there really isn't a question of when we don't. Because we do all the time. Anytime that you block off roads and have some type of something on our streets.
Okay.
So that's the discussion I wanted to have to make sure that everybody was aware of that. Since there's another permit out, I believe, for June, is it? Middle of June, that they have to bring in proof and insurance for that area.
Mr. Mayor, the two proofs of insurance fireworks, that's a state law, they have to provide.
Oh, correct, that one.
For fire, and that's what you're on the very last one.
Correct, where it says insurance related to festival events.
Yeah, and the other festival events is anything that's on the city road. So we have to know that they have insurance if they have people on the city road in an enclosed event.
And that's
So,
why I'm making it a
yeah.
point to bring this out,
Yes.
that in June is necessary to have that
And
too.
we have theirs.
You know,
already.
correct.
Yeah, we have their.
That way, there is no discussion anymore, it's always going to be there.
Right.
So that was my point. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We'll move on then. Let's go to the Parks report. Kevin Mooney.
Mayor, council, nice to see everybody tonight. I'll start off with the arena. A little quiet down at the arena right now. It is normally that way in the summer. Unfortunately, it looks like we've lost two of our regular summer events this year. Not to say they're not going to come back, we've just lost them for this season. The State Bank of Richmond, instead of hosting their dinner down at the arena, has decided to sponsor a music in the park and do customer appreciation through that music in the park event instead of holding their dinner down at the rink. The other one is the American Cancer Society Relay for Life has moved. They're going to try another outdoor event at the Walk and Wheel Loop in Cold Spring. They used to be outside, they came inside, now they're going to try outside again. You know, again, not to say that they won't be back in years to come. It's just they're trying something new. So we're still looking for summertime events for down at the building. We've had some pretty good ones here. We had the Fireman's Dinner a week or so ago with Smoking Guns Band playing afterwards. Good event. And yeah. The Parks and Trail season's in full swing. Little League Baseball started games last week. I attached a schedule for you guys in your packet, just so you kind of got a glimpse of what Centennial Park, the Centennial Park schedule generally looks like during the summer months. So you can pretty much count on 4, 5, 6 days a week. There's some kind of a ball game or a graduation party or a music in the park or all kinds of stuff. This Saturday is the Cub Scouts Rain Gutter Regatta on Saturday. So there's always something going on out there, and so you guys got a little glimpse of what's happening out there. And in June, the Little League is planning a minor league baseball tournament on a Saturday. That should be a good one if we can get her off the ground and running. And we'll see. We've got a couple teams. One day,
Just one day.
3 games guaranteed. We start at about 9 o'clock. We're done by about 5.
Okay.
Yeah. using both fields. You can really rip the games out there, and it's usually a lot of fun.
Good.
Speaking of Little League, the group is kind of in the process of recreating themselves. They're actively preparing articles of incorporation, and they're going to file with the state of Minnesota as a nonprofit organization. Something, a little step towards legitimizing their organization. They put together a new board of directors, and they're going to try to improve the baseball programming here in Richmond and follow the book, the big book. We purchased new picnic table frames for Centennial Park. Today completed that. Got all new picnic table frames. A couple. We reused all the boards off of the old picnic tables except for 2 tables, and they have new boards. So no more wobbly, right, Cindy? Cindy hates the wobbly tables out there, so we don't have that issue anymore. If little guy's sitting on one side and somebody sits down on the other, it doesn't fling them off into the, so that wouldn't happen to you. You'd probably be flinging something. You like the wobbly tables.
I like them.
Yeah. So that got completed today. We replaced the small soccer goals out at the park. They were damaged. They were a hazard. Pull them out, got some new ones. And the community ed soccer will start their morning programming the second week of June, so it'll be next week. I know I told you guys that they weren't going to be doing soccer out there. I was mistaken. They are running 2 sessions, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, out there starting, I think, at 8:30 to 10:30.
Okay.
So, and then they will be scheduling a Saturday game event in July. So, be using the soccer fields again. I'm really happy about that. Right now, most of our time is spent on maintenance and mowing. The grass is really moving as we speak. And rain days don't help us because it just pushes us behind another day, making it longer yet. But we're pretty good at that. We did have some vandalism at the pavilion recently. Had to replace one of the women's toilets in one of the toilets in the women's restroom. We can narrow it down to last Wednesday afternoon is when we believe it happened. We were out there working that day. There was nothing wrong. The concession stand was open that evening. It was locked overnight. So it wouldn't have happened that evening or that night. It would have happened sometime that afternoon. So, okay. But called up Gilk, and they came out within like an hour. New toilet in, rocking and rolling. So. Good.
Has that been, was that enough for insurance, or is there a deductible there?
No, got the bill today. It was $324, so no.
Okay.
No. You know, it was really nice because we discovered it on Thursday. We've got the Memorial holiday weekend coming up. Asked them to come out and take care of it, and like I said, within an hour they had it done, and the facility was open for the holiday weekend. So.
Good.
Joni Inquist will be the primary concession stand staff this year again. She moves from concession stand to cleaning the library and city hall. She's a pretty valuable tool for all of us. We do appreciate having Joni Inquist around. Music in the Park will kick off the concert season Tuesday, June 14th with the Valley Garage Boys. If you came to the Oktoberfest last year, that was the band that we had on the out on Main Street. We've invited them back. So Valley Garage Boys on the 14th, followed by Max and Deb 2 weeks later on June 28th. 4 of the 6 concerts have some type of sponsorship, so either full or partial sponsorship on the concert, so we're working on that. And we're still looking to fill those final 2 spots. Shouldn't be a problem, so if there's anybody out there wanting to sponsor the Music in the Park, give us a call, right? Okay. A complete list of the concerts can be found on the city's website. Trails. There's not a whole lot new to report on the Rocori Trail. It appears that the title work is going a little bit slower than anticipated from a report letter we just got from our attorney, which looks like that'll be pushing closing date back to August. And then, of course, this makes any type of construction in 2016 pretty much unlikely. We won't do any bidding or anything. We won't get the bid process done if we're not closing until August. We won't get that accomplished this fall. The design is 95% complete, so we could start some dirt work, some excavation work on the trail this fall possibly. We don't have enough funds on hand to complete the construction, so but we should be able to start some visible work out there this fall with probably moving around some dirt and getting some things cleared.
Coming from Rockville.
Yeah, most likely trail will start downtown Rockville and work its way east. Or I'm sorry, work its way west.
West.
West, young man. The concept there is then we will create a gap in the trail, which makes funding sources a little more eager to help you fill a gap than it is to extend the trail. So, little strategy there provided by the DNR and the county and our engineer. Our next meeting is tomorrow, 9 a.m. at the Rockville City Hall. We do have a resolution in front of you. It's resolution 14516. It's declaring excess property and authorizing disposal. What we're looking at, I don't know, we've had this stuff for probably about 8 years. We have AstroTurf. We got it for free from the Anoka Ice Arena. We used it the first couple years, got pretty excited. We had 1 year where we made good money on it, and that was the year of the polar vortex. Nobody could get outside to do softball, baseball, soccer. They couldn't do any of that stuff outside that spring. So we did okay there, but since there's been really, last 4 years, it really hasn't even been a reason to put it in. It's 60 degrees out when we're taking the ice out of the building, and I don't know, there's some truth to us turning into Kansas City. So we're not seeing a use for it. It's taking up valuable space in the cold storage building, and wouldn't mind disposing of it, getting rid of it, whether that's making some money off of it. Made some phone calls to some organizations that I think might use some of it. Otherwise, just disposing of it after that. Yeah. So I want to talk about the resolution.
No, I don't have any problem with the resolution. I have some other questions, though. First of all, thank you very much for this.
Sure.
Thank you. This is, I hope we get one in July. Okay. I do have a question on the expenditures to this evening.
Yes.
Just to explain, 2016 Water Festival was at the arena.
Yeah.
Was our portion of that $700 or
It's
what?
single. Our portion,
Well, it says here that a check was given of $700. Was that to pay our own rent?
I hand the bill over, and whether or not it goes to the water festival or not, I'm not sure. I'm the guy who rents the building and runs the building during the event. Whether or not that goes to,
It went to Lois.
so the bill will get distributed and then
And
paid.
they'll reimburse us.
Oh.
Any
okay.
portion.
I just read this as that we wrote a check for $700. We did out of the general fund to the arena fund, is that correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's,
And all the other identities.
All the other cities,
Yeah, just
Kimball,
chip in.
Eden Valley, Watkins,
Then they-
Cold Spring, and Rockville will all pitch in, I would assume, to pay
That's
that
what they,
bill.
that's what they've done in the
you're
past.
right. I was just wondering, the explanation of it just kind of looked weird here that, you know, we were paying the water festival $700.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's not really, it's just,
From the arena perspective, I send out an invoice, and how it gets paid, I'm not really,
yep, not a problem.
not too concerned as long as
With
it gets
that
paid.
clarification, I make a motion to approve resolution number 145/16, disposing of the excess property of the AstroTurf. Are you gonna do that sealed bids or just first come, first serve, or
We'll start
did you
off.
have any idea?
We'll start off right at the beginning of getting it on the League of Minnesota Cities website as we have it, and then we'll
Our
play.
website.
Huh?
Our website.
Yeah, or our website. Yeah, whatever it takes to get the advertisement out, and then we'll see what happens from there. I do call the high schools, seeing if they needed some of it. But we're,
How about the grade schools in town?
again,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
High
There's a
school,
lot of it.
they got high school
There's
sport
18
league too.
rolls, each one's 2,000
Website.
pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'll second that just to, nobody has it.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do you have anything else, Kevin?
I have nothing else. Any questions?
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Moving on to council report. Start with the E EDA.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did actually have a meeting on Tuesday, May 24th. We do have a few things continuing on our agenda that we would like to stay with. One of the most important things that we worked with a little bit was the sale of the piece of property that's in downtown where we put up a sign, and then we also now actually have a ad going, correct?
Yeah, it'll be in the paper next week, and I also have flyers made up to
Okay.
bring to businesses. Yep.
All right, so we're working on that. That was one important thing that we wanted to make sure that we got out there, got into the market, to make sure that that is a viable piece of property that is for sale within city limits. So hopefully we're gonna see what we can do with that, to either get somebody interested in that as hopefully a viable piece of property to put a business possibly there or whatever it might be. So trying to advertise on our own currently right now to see if we can move it and sell it, directly through the city and through the EDA before we have to make a possibility of the next steps would be getting realtors involved if needed, if we wanted to in the past. We're gonna try it on our own for now for a while and see how it goes. Okay. Another thing that we've actually been working, we talked a little bit about too, is our revolving loan fund. We still have that, it's a viable thing that we do have available. So that is something that we keep talking about, that, and then we also have money available that we've had for the last few years that businesses can take advantage of to be able to do some improvements on their facades of their particular buildings. There have been a couple businesses in downtown that actually have participated in that. We still have that money available for other ones if they're interested. So to help out with deferring some of the cost that goes along with that. So, Pat, do you have anything else you want to add?
Just that available grant money for improvements on your exterior facades does not only have to be on Main Street. It's
Right.
any business.
Could be any
It has to be
business, yeah.
zoned anywhere.
Exactly.
Zoned business.
Yep.
So
Okay.
it's a 50-50 matching up until the city or the EDA will invest $1,500. So the project would be roughly $3,000 to
Right.
get maximum.
Okay, great, thanks for adding that.
Mhm.
And then other than that, we're continually looking at different things that we've talked about to be a reliable entity for the city. The EDA is an important step to help the city out. So we want to make sure that we continually move forward, thinking of new ideas, thinking about where our next step is going to be and what we need to look at, and then we're continually getting some of those ideas out there. And our next meeting is scheduled for June 28th at 6:30, and that'll actually be here. And it will be, it's open to the public like every meeting is. Other than that, I think that's about all I have on the EDA currently, Mr. Mayor. Oh, the bike program, yeah, I completely forgot about the bike program, yeah. We have, I'm trying to think how far, have we purchased the bikes yet?
They're in the process of purchasing right now,
Purchase-
working at building or some kind of structure.
Right, exactly, yeah. We're currently working with, on the availability of purchasing some usable bikes that are actually going to be something that can be rented out for free, isn't it, Pat?
I'm not quite sure where that is.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not on
haven't
that
quite-
committee, but
Right.
as long as that they're available, that they would be able to check them in, check them out,
Right.
and brand new bicycles, and that way they can use the trailway. the
Right,
bicycle
yeah,
way.
yeah. But they're also looking into currently right now is that after purchasing these bikes, they're looking at some type of a shelter or a shed or just an overall covering to make sure that these particular bikes might be underneath some protected area. They're going to be located hopefully somewhere by the pavilion where normally most of our bikes are and everything. So they're currently looking into that right now too, because not real interested in just keeping those bikes out in the weather, because I think they'll last a little bit longer. So we're not really sure exactly when. They haven't really given us a time factor exactly when those bikes are going to be available to use yet. We're hoping that they will be usable. We hope sometime this summer. Obviously, we're getting into the prime time here, where some of those things might be nice and have accessible to people that are either here in town or either visiting from out of state, and would still like to use our bike paths that we have. So, okay,
Anybody,
that's it. That's all I
anybody have any questions for him? All right, we'll move on to planning commission. Tim?
Yeah, our meeting was the 26th of May. We had our last meeting. We had a interest in a property on Highway 23, and we further brought it towards the DNR, and basically the DNR said no. Because of the flood issues and the water issues on that. So, and we also discussed possibly other areas what could be done next with the water and the land across from 23, and also possibly looking at some other sites possibly in the future. I know we have some property in the northeast that we've asked about. Right now, we haven't heard much back from the Aho fellas. And then we're still trying to see what else is viable that's available for other building. Our next meeting is June 23rd.
Anybody have any questions of planning commission? No. Parks and trails, Kevin covered most of that. Tri-City Cable, our next meeting is July 13th, 5:30 at Ricori Library. And we have a meeting at 4 times a year, so we haven't had a meeting since April.
Okay.
So, other than that, moving on, council action for this evening. Is there any? Is there any other matters of concern?
Jim?
Kevin?
I can't believe I forgot this because I'm Mr. Hockey. The Wild are coming to town. Yeah, how do you miss that? How do you forget to? I just found out about a couple days ago. The Minnesota Wild are coming to town on their state road trip. They'll be here on the June 23rd. I believe it's a Thursday. And they're only staying for like 2 hours. They come in, bring in big bus stuff, they do autographs, they got some things that they do for a couple hours. We don't know which players are coming, coaches, staff, or anything. They'll be here from, I believe it's 1 to 3 o'clock on Thursday, June 23rd in the arena parking lot. And yeah, that should be pretty exciting. So.
Obviously, we're gonna add something, obviously, hopefully to the city website, correct? And then also on our outside billboard of the arena.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
We'll hammer it as
Okay.
much as we possibly can. The Youth Hockey Association is, as soon as they get final details on it,
Okay.
they're gonna run with it.
And then-
But basically, I guess the Wild do all promotions, so
Oh, nice.
they may send out everything we need.
Sure. that
Just
we
don't
need
have any
posted.
details yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be a great afternoon.
Wow. Yeah, thanks for not forgetting that.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. Any other matters of concern? Pat?
Just something for discussion here. Last month, maybe it was on a workshop, I believe it was on a workshop, we approved to do 3 roads, 3rd, 4th, and King, doing tarring. It was approved for approximately $49,500. And I asked for the lineal foot today, and they supplied it, and it came out to $22.92 a foot. And at that price, I believe that we should look at doing maybe another street or two, if we can. Because I looked at 3rd Street in between Ivy and J, which is down by Ellen Schaefer that way. And some of the concerns was that some of the infrastructure, the water and sewer, well, that area at the most only has 3 hookups, which a normal block probably has 8. And at $6,900 to do that city block, I think it would be well in a good investment, for the simple reason as it is completely trashed. It has to be done, and for $7,000, even if we work on the sewer and water in 2 or 3 or whatever years there, it's a small investment per year.
If we're gonna add or look at adding another particular area, and by our list of ones that we've rated as some of the worst ones in and around town, is this one, higher on
I'm not
the list
quite sure, Mike.
because I think what we need to do then, if we're thinking of adding something, then maybe we need to relook, because there might be a particular area that might be higher up on our priority list that we might need to look at doing if we're going to spend the additional money instead of this particular one.
Well, I was just looking at that.
Yeah, it's a good point to do
Because
it.
of the sewer and water,
Okay.
not as many hookups.
Not as many
So in
hookups.
case
Sure.
it would ever have to be worked on again, the chance of having a default there would be a very high,
Okay.
a very low chance, excuse me.
It's
Either that, or we should use this price and invest maybe 50 feet by the length of the pavilion by the bike area. Do that tar. This, if you do 50 by, well, I believe that section, and Kevin can help me out, I believe that is approximately 200 feet long.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know my lot is 100, and that's, I figured the other. So it's 200 feet long times, so that'll be 400 times, it comes out to about, I don't know, $15,000, and you have the thing done. So I don't know, I think we seriously gotta look at it before the tarring crew comes.
Mr. Mayor, may I add something here? Gordy, myself, and Dave Blummel met last week, and that's kind of something we were discussing, our areas that are just streets that need repair, streets and water, street sewer, water and sewer. And we were kind of going through the map and circling areas that we'd like to get done this year, next year, the 2018-19 project. So we are in the process of figuring all that out, if there is more that we'd like to do this year yet. We believe next week we're going to be meeting with Dave Blummel again to get a more final idea of more streets.
It's all fine and dandy to rip up the street and do the sewer and water project, but for this type of money, sometimes if it's gonna be 3 or 4 years or 5 years to get to it, you can do this investment.
Right.
And don't worry about the sewer and water right now.
Right, yep, so we should have more information for the workshop as far as if there's more streets.
And
to
maybe
do.
Kevin can just kind of measure out roughly so we can get that tarred, because there's a lot of people that pull in there that have the comment about the ground.
Well, it would definitely be nice to have that.
And this is
finished
a
off.
pretty
Yes.
reasonable price if we can tag on to this, and get it leveled and drained right,
Yeah.
along with maybe finishing the sidewalk there.
I'm not gonna argue with paving that parking lot.
So I'm just, that was my item of concern. I said, I did the math a little bit here today and the square footage, I mean, it's pretty reasonable. I mean, granted, it's still expensive, but it's,
We
What you're getting.
also can go back to that map that when we did that tour here.
That's what she was
Yeah, and because we still got that, so let's take that and then go back with what they want to look at. I think we can put our heads together on that, and I agree, like I said, but that's that map that we had done last year, and take it and see what our priorities were off of that.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, because I think the county has some stuff coming up too, so we'd like to link that up with some of the county roads, so
Yep.
that way it can all be done at the same time. That's why we'd be jumping around a little bit, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
I also got a couple things. I know summer started here. You know, we got everybody walking their dogs and things like that around the park, and I know the park guys have already noticed it quite a bit. Please bring a bag, pick up Fido's duties, you know, so we please ask you to do that. Also, this past weekend, we seen some cars that were parked in a ditch in the trails out by across from Dollar General, and they cannot park there. We have a pavilion for their bikes, and if you want to get off your bikes, go out to the pavilion down here across from the arena. So I know there's some people, and I don't know if you're watching, but if you know somebody that's been doing that, please let them know that we have a parking lot here to do that. And kids getting out of school, folks, please slow down, watch them. They're all going to be running around now that school's out. So
All right.
that's all I got.
Anybody else have anything else to add? Seeing nothing, meeting's adjourned.